The three treasures are the posture and the movement, the breath, and the consciousness. So, posture, sink into your knees. Lengthen your spine. Lift your head. Drop your shoulders. Soften your fingers. Then the breath. Deepen your breath. And I'll just use my hands to say, here comes a long, slow inhalation. And here is a long, slow exhalation. And there's all kinds of science and research on the physiological benefits of slowing the breath down. Then, mindfulness, or bringing ourselves to presence. One hand, my past, the other hand, the future. Either hand for the past or the future, doesn't matter. Bring your hands together. Say something to yourself like, now on purpose, with sincere intent, I bring my attention to the present for the duration of this practice. And you might just give a little bow there. You know, what are we bowing to? Well, we're bowing to ourself for being conscious enough to actually take care of ourselves. We're bowing to the people who invented Qigong and yoga and who understood the nature of human life so deeply. And we're bowing to all the people in the world who are practicing Qigong either now or ever. And then we'll step out. So I'm stepping out a little bit to each side and to about the width of my shoulders. Recheck your posture, sink, lengthen, lift, drop, soften. And we're going to start by just getting super, super mellow. And one of the ways to be super mellow is to not think about what's going on in the world and to pay attention to what's happening here. And so we're going to use flowing motion. Flowing motion is the one where we lift hands, palms up, turn palms down, drop hands, sink down, turn hands forward, and repeat. So the first question is, shall we breathe in when we raise up, or shall we breathe out when we raise up? And that's really up to you. So as you develop your practice over time, you will make decisions. The decisions that you make during your Qigong practice are, in a way, rehearsal for all kinds of other decisions that you could be making. You know, sometimes we change our mind. Sometimes we get new information. And so we then change our decisions. So rising and sinking, lifting hands and dropping hands, and deepening the breath to match the pace of the movement, or better said, actually, to pace the movement on the deep, slow, relaxed breaths. Now, what that means is that we'll be going at a different pace. You might be going faster than me. You might be going slower. Now, when you raise your hands the next time, see if you can, if it's comfortable for you to lift your heels off of the ground or the floor. And then when you settle back and put your heels back down and your hands come down, lift your toes. Raise your toes up. So, raising hands, unbending knees, lifting my heels, turning palms down, sinking down, lifting my toes. Now the little bits that we add on, the heel raise and the toe raise, they support the process of sustaining the present moment focus, but they also have a lot to do with developing brain plasticity and coordination of small muscles. Now, one of the reasons why people fall down in later life is that their range of activities become less broad, and so small muscle coordination depreciates. Now we're going to do this 2 more times, and as you get to the top, as your hands are raising up, get a feeling right in here, get a feeling like I could fly. And then when you sink down, notice the difference between flying and rooting. Flying is light, and rooting is weighty and has substance to it. And then stop and notice what you're feeling. Scan the body. Do the sink, lengthen, lift, drop, soften. So that's sink into your knees, lengthen your spine, lift your head, drop your shoulders, soften your fingers. And then just drift there, scanning internally, noticing what you're feeling physically, and then noticing what you're feeling emotionally. Now we're going to go on. Shift your weight to one side. Use your hands as if you're scooping. And then turn, so there's a torso turn here, and the hands are going to move diagonally, and we're going to shift the weight. So scoop and shift and turn and raise your hands diagonally as if you're, imagine that you have like a dove of peace in your hands, and you want to just say, fly away, dove of peace, sink down, gather, shift your weight, turn your torso, raise your hands, sink down. This is part of what's called the 7 precious gestures. And this gesture is called gathering and releasing. But it's gathering and releasing something precious. So with this idea of personal transformation and healing, there's value in reflecting on things that you have found to be precious, and then we're called upon to release. Gathering and releasing. There's a breath practice that goes with this, and I'll describe it here in just a moment. So, breathe in to about here. Now breathe out. Breathe in. Now breathe out. Now the releasing and the breathing out go together. So it's a very powerful, shall we say, combination of ideas and actions. We could call it a kinesthetic metaphor. We're actually telling a little story. So think to yourself, what have I considered precious that I was called upon to let go of? An example, I'll just give an example from my own life. Children. Children are precious. Gift from God. And then they individuate. They go their own way. As parents, how do we feel about the choices that they made? But then we can also think, well, how did my parents feel about the choices that I made? So in a season of transition to a new cycle, you could think, well, what happened this year that called me to be willing to let go? And just think for a few moments about how you made your way through the process of letting go, whatever it was. Letting go of a favorite this or that, letting go of an idea that you thought was true but then turned out not to be true. Now check your thinking. What are you thinking now? Are you on the topic of gathering, releasing, or have you drifted into regret? Or have you drifted into hurt feelings? And if you are, then let's just take a moment to release, let go of regret and hurt feelings. These things are not maximizing our well-being. Now this time, gather, come to the center. That's a breath in to right there. Raise your hands and then turn palms down, exhale.